Hey there, what's up, friends, family, associates, or acquaintances, however you might label it. How's it going today? I'm going to go ahead and talk a minute about our perceptions of the world, because it's something I've been thinking about this morning, and how I meet a lot of different types of people, and some people have a very defeatist attitude, as if, well, it's kind of the type of attitude that I've had at some points in my life, where I realized how screwed up this system really is. And I'm not talking about the political system within the U.S. I'm not talking about the political system within any nation or the world itself, but rather the entire system of existence that we've created for ourselves to help us live in this paradigm of what we call nature, although it's kind of a misnomer because we are nature. And that leads me, I guess, to another perspective of it. A lot of people don't feel like we're part of nature. They feel like we have abused our privilege being here so much that we have destroyed the planet, and shame, humans should be wiped off the earth as a scourge. I firmly disagree with that, although there was a point in my life where I did kind of resonate with that type of thinking, in the sense that the earth would be better off without us, but careful thought and consideration over the years kind of gave me a new perspective on it. And one of those perspectives led me to understand a little bit better about why people are so quick to judge, why they're so quick to tell others how to live, and why they get angry about the situations that we encounter. It's easy to get angry about something, but if you don't stand up for what you believe, then you're just going to get stomped on. The person with the loudest voice doesn't necessarily mean that they get the best points across. And nor is the person with the most power, often do they have the most facts. So it takes the entirety of a society to decide what is important. To give you an example, it would be, say, a person who says that we need to create a utopia, we need to abandon violence, we need to abandon war, and abandon the monetary system and just go back to nature. And while this is a wonderful idea, it really doesn't answer the actual questions of what is going back to nature. And what is it that our ancestors wanted to do at their time? Would they prefer to have an iPhone? They probably would have no use for it. But if you went back to when they were using, creating the first steel weapons, and you were able to give them a titanium bow and arrow, set in carbon fiber, and all these wonderful, inventions that we've made using existing nature, it's easy for us to now think that we're separate from nature because we've created things that don't exist in nature. But let me add this aspect of it, that if you are part of nature and you are creating something, then you are inventing nature. And that's a very difficult one for people to agree with, and that's fine, I understand that. It's like seeing an anthill. It's out of place, or better yet, a termite mound. You can go to some places in Africa where there's these just monster 6-foot termite mounds everywhere. And a person would never stop and think, look at these damn termites, they're destroying the earth. Nor would they get angry at a bear who's walking down a hill because he's causing erosion. Nor do we get mad at the rocks themselves for falling because they're destroying something beautiful. This is just the way that nature works, and here's where we have the problem, is our consciousness. And we believe that our consciousness should lead us to better ways of living. But I'm wondering why people really believe that. In other words, why do we think that we should have the ability to reason our way out of the situation we're in? Maybe the situation's not quite as bad as we think. If you were to eliminate borders, and eliminate money, and eliminate people with power, and I don't mean kill anybody off, I just mean if it were to disappear tomorrow and there were no power, there was no structure, everything would definitely fall apart temporarily as far as we see it. But the average person, of course, would be affected by the way that food is transported, trucks, gasoline, all the things that we use. And no matter how much we think that we're living green, we're all still using the same power. If you're watching a computer right now, if you're watching this video, then you're wasting electricity, but you're using it to learn, or you're using it to talk with people. And that's what we do. We have to decide where we're going to draw the line. Nobody is completely innocent, unless you sit in a corner and let yourself shrivel up and die, in which case you may think, I'm not affecting nature negatively. But perhaps you had something to contribute to society. And then maybe the living within nature is gaining that knowledge in order to be able to better help your people. I think that it's really easy for people to be angry today because of the way that things are going, and we feel like we're not cared about. We feel like that the people aren't listened to. And in many cases, this is true. But we have to realize there are many cases when people are listened to and paid attention to. That while everything seems to be about money, about getting people to, watch something, for example, clickbait on the internet. I have videos where I might spill something really important that I believe is important. It might get 100 views. But if I posted a video about cute cats playing with yarn, I'd probably get 10 million views. And that's fine, because I don't want views, and I'm not here to get views. I'm here to discuss things with people. And I think the more people that start to do that, not expecting a return or an outcome or trying to, cash in on what they have to say, then we can see that people have neutral opinions that they just want to share. I believe in the day and age we live in with the internet, it's really changed the way that we perceive the world, because we're able to see all the corruptions at once. We're able to see all the things that are wrong with the world at once. But step back for a minute and realize that that gives us also the opportunity to see all the good things at once. And it's easy to get hung up on the what-ifs or the negativities, especially if we're affected directly. But just to remember, if you want to have an impact, you have to take the time to make an impact. And that means finding what's important to you and working towards it. And when you get the general consensus reality of what is important to people, that's how you get a better view of what citizens care about. Sometimes we're really upset about one particular thing and nobody else is. And we think, why aren't they aware of this? But maybe they are aware, and maybe they have different conclusions. Maybe it's not so dangerous to them. I guess an example could be contrails, or what people are calling chemtrails. We find out that we've had cloud seeding programs in the past, and that we have sprayed chaff and various, metals for using for communications during wartime. And there very well may be some planes spraying, cloud seeding contrails, if you will. But for the most part, 99% of the planes are just spitting out normal condensation. So to one person, this is a huge important issue, that every plane flying over their head is spraying poison on them. And for the majority of people, they just don't care because they don't believe it. And the one person may think everyone else is ignorant. But all the rest of the people may think you're just wasting your time worrying about something that isn't an issue. I guess I bring that up because I talked to one guy who said that on the days when there's contrails in the sky, he keeps his children indoors and won't let them play outside. And that was kind of what opened the door. I said, if people want to believe in something, they can believe whatever they want. But when it's affecting your children, this is just like telling your kids they're going to go to hell if they don't listen to you. That kind of stuff. It's abuse. And we as a society owe it to our children to be honest with them and be fair and be truthful, not in just what we think is true, but what is really going on, and let them derive their own conclusions on it. Because ultimately, here we are trying to find truth in a very short period on Earth, and try to understand how to live the best. And ultimately, what is the goal of being a human, if you're going to create one? Is to be happy. It's a very simple goal. But this happiness cannot come at the expense of others' happiness. This is why no matter how much money you have, if it's affecting and taking out of someone else's pocket, it's not going to make you happy. On the outside, you may be happy, but you know deep down inside that money isn't doing it. And you can, I guess, for some people that may be different, because I'm just speaking from my subjective opinion as a human. All I know is what I know. And but I can get a good feel for what other people know and how they feel by talking with them. So the number one, I think, important aspect to understanding society and why we are where we are is understanding people. And realizing that we've lived for a long time without understanding what's going on in the rest of the world. That we're fed little bits of news, and then TV came around, and then media became popular, only within the last 50 years. And then we were able to see things weren't quite what we were told, and then the internet, bam, every country sharing all the information right away. There really are no lies that can't be exposed anymore. It's very difficult for people. So some people are found out, well, maybe some of the things they believed weren't true, and others say, wow, there's some things I had no idea about that are true. It's going to take a while for us to wade through the information, to wade through each other's opinions, and within another decade, I'm hoping that we can pick up the pace at improving our world. Because if you look at the world in a negative view, you're always going to feel you're going to be the one that suffers. And It just means you're not looking at the positive sides of it. And I realize that negativity gets attention, and this is why the media plays on negativity. This is why people are more likely to post a bad review about a product they bought than a good one. Because how many people are just consider how happy they are with something? It's usually when something's wrong, they want to complain. This extends through the entirety of the world. This is how all people are. Something that moves you, you speak out. So we don't necessarily hear the average people who are just living their lives. But they're there. And they're a majority. And there isn't war and pestilence and poverty everywhere. There are little factions of it that we need to deal with. I'm not going to say the world's perfect. And I'm not going to say that there's ever a possibility we can make it perfect. That's all perception. And subjective opinion. So, talk to y'all later. Have a